So I'm making this video. One of my friends told me I should do it. Um, so I'm going to do it. Um, I'm not looking for clicks. I'm not looking for publicity. It's just a warning of what's coming. Um, don't want to talk about too much about myself, but long and short of it, I've always kind of known what was going to happen in the future. And about 10 years ago, that ability really started to advance as things happened in my life. Um, for years, I was looking at things and seeing things. It's more like information comes to me. I don't really know how to explain it. Don't hear voices in my head. I know. And, um, most of my friends, even really skeptical people, they know what I say comes true. Even my skeptical friends are like, it's really weird at this point. Um, but this is a warning. I am not promoting this video. I'm just uploading it to YouTube. If you find it soon, I hope you follow the advice. Um, because, let's say I'm totally wrong. It's not what's the worst that can happen when following my advice? Pay a little bit more taxes, have something that's worth value of all time, that's always been worth value of all through the ages, that type of thing. So if you find this, I hope it helps you. It's a warning. Extremely bad times are coming. Um, there's going the biggest thing. I mean, there's going to be more outbreaks of diseases and viruses and things like that, and more war. But so what? In a way, it's like saying that it's going to happen in the future is like, hey, do I breathe oxygen? Because that's just what we've done throughout history, and those things have always happened. But this information you will find useful. I'm not going to talk about any of the other stuff. I'm not going to talk about politics or anything else. But the financial system is going to crash. And it's going to be the mother of all crashes. It's going to make 2008 look like summer camp. Some of my friends have asked me, what's comparable to it. The best I can think of is the Great Depression, but that's different because we didn't have globalism then. The world economies worked different then. But the timing is always difficult to know the exact time. I've figured out some techniques to narrow it down, and of course, when you get closer, it gets easier. So I'm putting this around mid-November. It could be all the way to mid-December, and it could be give or take before or after. But I highly doubt it'll be after the first of the year, because next year I know is just total economic devastation throughout the world. So here's what you need to do to prepare yourself as much as possible. First, one of the big banks in the United States is going to go away. I think it's Wells Fargo, maybe Bank of America, not sure. One of those two are kind of my top feelings of they're in trouble. If you've been around, if you're a little bit older, you may remember 2008 Bear Stearns. All that went away and was gobbled up. A lot of the smaller banks are going to go under because the banking system's in deep trouble. The credit systems are in deep trouble. This is worldwide. The government's debt and balance sheets are in deep trouble. So let's just start where you should go. Buy all the precious metals you can. You don't have much time. When this happens, I've seen two things happening. I've seen the people that are selling it because they've lost their jobs, and a whole hell of a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, unfortunately. And they're going to sell, jewelry, gold coins, gold bars, silver, platinum, everything else, because all the commodities in the world are going to be repriced. The West has kind of manipulated that system for a while. Not for a while, they've pretty much done it all the time. And that's going away. The fiat currencies are all going to fail. Some of the smaller countries will probably still have fiat currencies of some sort, but most of it will go to digital currencies. I do not hold any digital currencies myself. Not that I'm against them, but I will tell you the current, like, let's use Bitcoin, the popular one. Eventually it's going to go to zero. Now, doesn't mean it's bad. There's two things. It could go to zero because it gets worthless, but it could also go to zero because of quantum computing. Since I don't own it, it's harder for me to feel it out. I just know there's going to be problems with it, and there's never been a downturn with Bitcoin, really. It really came to be after 2008, 2009, when it was, a penny a piece or something like that. I remember a guy ordering pizzas with them. Now it'd be worth like millions of dollars. So be careful of those. Precious metals will be the backbone of all major currencies in the future. They will be digital currencies, but they'll be backed by precious metals and probably some commodities. And if you follow BRICS, you know that they have what it's called the unit. And there's going to be a basket of commodities, an exchange and trade mechanism to settle up differences. That's going to challenge the West. And I got to be honest, I truly believe Trump and Secretary Bessent are trying to get rid of us as having the world reserve currency. I truly believe they know what's coming because of the actions I see them doing. Be nice if they would tell everybody, but if they told everybody, everybody would freak out. They don't want you to freak out because they are trying to get all the gold they can right now. So gold and silver, right as today, August 21st, it's like 33, 38, I think, when I looked. And then silver's at about 38 and a little bit of change. I know gold's expensive, but silver is probably going to have a bigger increase percentage-wise than gold, at least for a little bit. With a premium, you can get some generics probably about $41, $42 maybe right now. That's not too bad. Any bit you can do is help. The banks, like I said, the banks are going to be in trouble when the crash occurs. Let me back up. So in the meantime, get precious metals. I mean, you can get platinum and all that stuff too, but gold is a tier 1 asset used by all the countries of the world, pretty much almost all the countries, and is used as an asset and for trade. Silver is tier 2, but it will be valuable as well. Plus it has industrial uses, and we don't have enough of it. Coming up in about September, the Fed's going to cut, and they're going to cut big, and they might even do some yield curve control. And between those two things, because they literally know they're in trouble. I mean, this is pretty obvious to them. What they tell us on the news isn't true, or it's a glaring omission. And that'll be the last hurrah. And then the crash that's coming. I have it in between the middle of November to the middle of December. Now, timing is always the hardest part of this because it's the hardest part to predict because time is kind of fluid in a weird way, and I don't want to get into and sound like real cuckoo because there's other aspects to this as well, but there's kind of certain fixed points and the way time works. It'll be roundabout. So, and it could be a little bit before, a little bit after those dates, but I'm looking mid-November to mid-December, where this all happens. You should have cash on hand because the banks will be closed probably about 3 days or so, give or take, but probably give it a little bit more, maybe 3 to 5. And I know times are tough. The inflation is killing all of us. I wish I could say this was just bad luck, but this is stupid decisions by politicians and also by design. Every downturn since they've started the federal bank, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Do not buy a house right now. Not the time. If you can sell it, great. Move into a rental then. But Fed's going to make their last move. Trump's been all over them to cut rates, and they're going to oblige. Not because they want to, because they don't like him. And understand, I am not promoting or going against either political party in the United States. I don't like either of them. They're both responsible for where we're at, and they're both responsible for making sure we bicker and fight over the table scraps so we don't see the big picture and work together. But I'm not going to give some pipe dream. I don't think that's going to happen, that we're going to come together. We're just too polarized now. So get precious metals if you can. Gold's great, but silver is fantastic, and especially since you can get a lot for a little. Cash on hand. That's important because your ATM aren't going to work. Your credit cards aren't going to work. And after this crash, they will go to, not right away, but it will turn into a digital currency. The US dollar's days are numbered. And so is our time as a reserve currency of the world. You can expect in the US, European-style gas prices. Not right away. Of course, it's a crash. It's going to be bad. I mean, next year, if you have cash, cash will be king, or, the digital. And it's not far-fetched that we're in digital, because how many people still pay in cash? When was the last time you paid in cash? Most people don't. I know some people do. Most people don't. What I am going to do is I am purely invested in gold and silver, physical. Plus, I've invested in this year in gold and silver mining stocks. I've had a fantastic year, investment-wise, one of the best years ever, which was beating last year, which was my best year ever, because I knew what was coming. Wasn't hard when you know what's happening next. So, what I'm going to do, and I guess I will preface this because I've seen this in videos, this is for entertainment purposes. This is not financial advice. Do your own research, blah, blah, blah. I am not telling you to do something. I'm not guaranteeing returns. But what am I going to do, and you've heard what I've claimed I can do, is at the end of October, I am going to sell everything. Obviously, that means taxes, because I told you I had a pretty good year of investing. But the taxes will be minuscule to what I could lose if I stayed in. Now, being said, the particular stuff I've picked, it will be even higher than where I have it now in the coming months anyway. So I would gain either way. But I'm going to sell at the end of October. And then during the crash, and historically crashes last about 2 or 3 days before they start to level out and, stabilize, and the rebuilding process begins. You'll have to pay it kind of by ear and trust your gut. But basically, while everything's burning, I'm going to come in and buy it pennies on the dollar. The same stuff that I sold just, 2 weeks or a month before. So let's say I had $100 stock and I had 100 shares. So that's $10,000. I sell it all. Obviously, I have to pay taxes, but I don't have to pay taxes till next year. But let's say that it goes down to 20. So I had 100 shares. Now I can buy 5 times as much. Or wait, yeah. Oh, well, I can't think of the math right now. I'm tired. Long day. But you know what I mean. I can buy 5 shares instead of 1. Yeah, I got it right. When it's $20. And so instead of 100 shares, I have 500 shares. And of course, not all stocks are going to recover because, stocks that are dependent on good economies are going to suffer. But the thing about gold and silver miners, they're going to be the new printing presses. And you do have to be careful with some of them because, especially within foreign countries, because some of the governments will nationalize them, no doubt. That has always been true, but this will be, they're going to be doing anything to save themselves. Crime's going to go up. People are going to be desperate. A ton of people are going to be out of work. I mean, again, 2008 is nothing compared to what's coming. So that's my recommendation. Prepare yourself as much as you can. I'd get supplies so you don't have to go to the store. Don't have to deal with all that, because if you remember during a few years ago, how things were like toilet paper and cleaning supplies and stuff like that. So get all the try to get all the non-perishable stuff you can. That's going to be hard because the inflation is killing everybody. I'm just a normal guy too. I feel it. I have a normal job. It's just I've had time to prepare. That's the only difference. And I was very dedicated to it and strict about it for many years to get to this point. So that's my advantage. Some guy on YouTube saying he knows the future and saying what's going to happen. Why would you believe me? I mean, about 15 years ago, I'd be like, who's this dealer? Give me his number. He must have some really good stuff. But nope, totally clean, totally not crazy. And at the end of the day, if you watch this video, you're going to see that I was absolutely right. Unfortunately, because I don't like what's coming. It's going to be terrible, and this crash is it's going to decimate people's livelihoods. It's going to be painful, and the world is never going to be the same. The world will go on. It's not going to turn to Mad Max. We're not going to go, hey, I need petrol. How much for, that type of stuff. But it could get a little dicey for a bit. But things will normalize, but they won't be easy. A lot of the promises we've been made to the people, they're not going to be able to keep. The funding for government services isn't going to be there because deficits will matter a bit more than they've had before, and they will reprice gold. I mean, that's right now it's I think from the 71 price at $42 an ounce, and they're going to reprice that because all of a sudden that makes their balance sheet goes up, more assets, and it's really a stroke of the pen. But that's not going to solve everything by far. So just be careful, be prepared. So precious metals if you can. I know it's tough. Silver. Cash on hand if you can, because that credit card, debit card isn't going to work. If you're trying to sell a house, great, get it sold. Don't be a stickler, because the days of, if you have to take a bit of a loss, take a bit of a loss and get out of it. Go to a rental. Keep that cash in hand. And then by the end of October, get out of the market. That was what I would be doing. But again, entertainment purposes, do your own financial research. For gold and silver, Andy Schechtman and Rick Rule on YouTube. Look them up. If you want to know about miners and everything else, get educated. They're great guys. Another guy, a little bit crazy, but he seems to be a good guy. Gregory Manarino. I mean, he's been kind of calling this for, 3 years. I haven't watched him in the last year at all because I've been more interested in just what the traditional gold and silver people are saying. But he was always dead on. I mean, he's been dead on for years. You know, but yeah, Rick Roll is the mining company god. Check out his videos. Check out interviews with him. Andy Schechtman, very, very respected in the precious metals market. He knows what he's talking about. So do your own research. I am not guaranteeing anything, but I know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna be fine, which is not what I can say for a whole hell of a lot of other people. If you watch this before then, good luck, God bless. I hope you do well, and I would love to be wrong. I would really love to be wrong. I could live with that, believe me, but I won't be. Good luck.